Oakland, California, only In-N-Out restaurant closing due to crime. Page 6 if you want to go to it. And this leads me with, okay, so the only In-N-Out Burger location in Oakland, California is closing due to a surge in crime, including car break-ins, property damage, theft, and armed robberies of customers and employees, according to the company. In-N-Out's COO, Chief Operating Officer, Danny Warwick, stated top priority must be the safety and the well-being of our customers and associates. We cannot ask them to visit to work or work in an unsafe environment. The closure comes after repeated attempts to deter crime and maximize safety. And the last day of operation for the Oakport Street location is March 24th. Current employees will have the option to work at nearby locations or receive severance packages. Tom, what stats do you have with what's going on in California? Obviously, what's your opinion on this? But I know the homelessness stat just came out from California, and I know Rob's got it. Do you mind going through that, both of it, the story and reaction to the stats?
Well, this Oakland is self-explanatory. What's been happening in Oakland, you've got tremendous homelessness over there in the greater Bay Area. You've got that poop location map that DeSantis pulled out of his pocket when he and Gavin Newsom did that debate. Mm-hmm. And that's a real map. And that kind of thing is happening in New York and other things. So what's happening this is, homelessness and, defund the police and everything. It's all coming home to see it. But our government keeps track of homelessness. And check this out. Rob, do you have it? At the end of last year, let's see the cover of the report real quick.
Who was that face we just saw?
That was John Fetterman. We're going to get, by the way.
Wow, go back, because you just threw me off.
Yeah,
okay,
that's not the same guy. We'll get into that.
Go the other way. You were going the right direction,
Rob, you frightened me. Don't show me that. Rob. And so this is our very own. Here it is. The 2023 Annual Homelessness Assessment Report to Congress by HUD, right? Housing and Urban Development. So this is our government reporting on itself, its states, and it came out at December, released around the holiday time without a press release and without any fanfare. I wonder why a rather blue Congress would not want a lot of fanfare. Let's find out. So we take the top 3 population states. You can go to those 3. Rob, right there. Here's the top 3 population states, and here's the report on those states. This report had all 50 states, and we're going to play a game in a minute.
I love games. I love it.
Called Red Blue.
Love it.
Red Blue. But right now, California. So people would say, well, stats can be overblown because there's more people live in this state, less people live in this state. Hey, let's look at it on an equal basis. For every 10,000 people in California, 46 are homeless, and 68% have zero shelter. That is a sleeping bag on the street. A sleeping bag on the street. Now, for Gavin Newsom that likes to brag, take a look at Florida. 14 people per 10,000. So in other words, on an equal percentage basis, California is 4 times worse homelessness than Florida. What about Texas? Things are going on. Guess what? It's 9 out of 10,000, meaning that California is 5 times.
Although Texas is going to skyrocket by the end of 2024 because of the way Governor Abbott's handled the border.
Borders.
Correct.
That number's not going to look good by the end of 2024.
And by the way, I looked up, because people say things are changing, so I looked up the 2022 report. California has gone from 44 to 46 out of 10,000.
Wow.
Florida went from 12 to 14, and Texas went from 8 to 9. So homelessness is up in all 3 states. But what's really interesting to look, Texas, only 42% of them, but that's still bad, are actually unsheltered on the street. So if you look at the green, that's the people living like on the street, completely unsheltered. In Florida, it's about 50-50. But these are the stats. These are the stats.
What is amazing?
You want to talk about your state, you got to look at numbers.
You know what's amazing is, and he'll go on Bill Maher yesterday, okay? And I don't know if you guys had a chance to see it. Did you watch the whole thing?
Yeah, of course, I watched the whole thing. Yeah.
If you watch him on Bill Maher, his ability to spin everything as if
Gavin?
He's a bullshit artist.
Gavin Newsom was on Bill Maher yesterday.
Bullshit artist.
And his ability to tell, what they're doing and how much he cares and all this stuff. And Bill Maher's like, look, I don't like how divisive this is being. That's being red state, blue state. I don't like that you're doing that. He says, look, I agree with that. I think we all want to be loved. I think we all want to be liked, and I want to be liked. And I love Florida. I love the people in Florida. But what are you going to do? Are you going to let all these guys attack ESG, DEI, any three-letter word that they get? Are we going to let them do that? And it's only the red state people that are doing that. So this is happening under his watch. By the way, I want you to think about this, okay? Economically, who has hurt the state of California the worst since California was a state? Name anybody. You can name gangsters. You can name mobsters. You can name, gangs, blood and crip. You can name technology. You can name anybody who in the history of California hurt the state's conditions and economy the worst since 1851. Think about names. Tom, what names would you give? You lived in California. What names would you say hurt the state of affairs in California, the economy, the most?
Wow. There was a governor named Democrat Governor Gray Davis who got recalled and shot out of a cannon, and Arnold Schwarzenegger replaced him, and Gavin Newsom. You can look at their record. It's leadership at the top.
You know what's the difference, though? During Davis, the net migration rate didn't skyrocket the way it did under Newsom, back to back to back. He may go down as the worst person in the history of the state of California that hurt the economy of California. I don't think there is anybody that's hurt the economy worse than Gavin Newsom.
Just the economy? Or you're talking about just overall homelessness, dirty?
If California was a company, he's the worst CEO they've ever had.
Oh, I agree.
No, because a CEO is judged on what? What's a CEO judged on? How happy people are? No. What's CEO judged on?
It's the
numbers and data.
Yeah.
Okay. So how did these guys go from that? Tom, they had a $97 billion surplus last year.
Exactly.
They lost $72 billion last year. How do you do that? Right. They had a $90 billion plus so give or take, and they're down $70 billion a year. How do you spend all that money? How do you go through all that money? Historically, this guy, if he was a CEO in California, was a business, it's the worst CEO California's ever had.
And you want to see, this is what his stock chart will
And by the way, he will still run for president, and he's still formidable.
Still going to
states, please. Take a look at this. California, the homeless rate has increased 30% since 2007. Florida, it's decreased 36%. Texas decreased 31%. So if you look at that as a long-term stock chart on homelessness, it's basically they've run California into the ground.
And guys, one this is really fast, Tom. So they tried to recall him with Larry Elder as a voter, as a person. Are you that blinded? Everybody that lives there in California, to me, is like, yeah, everything sucks. They all complain, but they're like, yeah, but the weather. They always turn to the weather. How do you not recall a guy like blatantly in your face that is absolutely horrible? How do you not vote him out?
I'll give you a little perspective.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, Tom.
There's two things here real quick, and then we'll go straight to Adam. They successfully put him on the ballot.
100%.
The citizens successfully petitioned, had enough signatures to get him on the ballot for recall.
Yeah.
But there was no one that was strong enough politically against him. That's what happened.
Gotcha. Okay.
No, I mean, look.
So you're saying Larry wasn't strong enough?
Larry Elder wasn't strong enough. There was not a strong enough candidate, but he was ripe for the taking.
We can do all the data, we can do all the stats, and anybody that actually is paying attention will look into this and be like, oh, wow. Nobody's reading into these stats. Nobody's doing the due diligence. Nobody's doing the research, because it's all based on feelings these days. And we know that politics is a feelings game. How do I feel about the candidate? How do they make me feel? We've always heard, for facts don't care about your feelings. But most people these days operate on emotion and feelings. They're going over personality over policy. So we saw that debate when Gavin Newsom was up against DeSantis. And I'm in Florida. I'm a Florida guy. You guys are all, lived in California your whole life. I'm looking at this and I'm like, everything is on DeSantis' side here. This homeboy is busting out poop maps to show you what a shit show literally California is.
Yeah.
And at the end of the debate, they said, who won the debate? They're like,
Gavin Newsom
won.
Yeah.
It's like, stop it with the stats. You have to make people feel a certain type of way. We can get into basically what DeSantis, his lack of ability in order to do that. But if you're running against Newsom, the way that you can beat someone like that is not with stats, because he's such a slick, skilled politician. You have to draw emotion. Do you understand that in Gavin Newsom's California, In-N-Out burgers will cease to exist?
Yeah.
People are like, not my In-N-Out burgers.
Yeah, exactly.
People love. I mean, we used to go to the one in Addison, the best. This is the type of guy that will run all your favorite stores, all your favorite burgers out of town.
You're making a very, by the way, you're making a very, very good point. I mean, it's been a while, but you're making a very good point.
The question,
no, it's about leadership. You're talking about leadership.
The real question is, did he hit the nail on the head?
Can I have the pink charts? Pink charts.
If I may, you're making a very good point. And the reason why that's a very good point is because all of this is storytelling, right?
Yeah.
It's all storytelling. You know, I had one of my guys spoke to yesterday, and he's creating content. And one of his strengths is he's one of the best storytellers we've ever had in the history of the company. Mm-hmm. But when he's doing his videos, all he's talking about is facts,
Nope.
and it's logic. I said, dude, you're one of the best storytellers. Tell a flippin' story. Okay, tell a good story. Take a minute, tell a story. Okay, I remember 2009 when this happened to me, and and then boom, tell the story. You know how to tell a story. No one needs to teach you. A person who naturally is a good storyteller, you don't need to teach them how to tell a story. Just let it rip, and don't even give them any feedback. Just go, do what you do, right? And the right is trying to win arguments with logic. The left is winning arguments by emotion, and you need both. You know, this whole book that just came out, Choose Your Enemies Wisely, the breakdown of business planning, for the longest time, everything I, would sit down with guys and they would write a plan. It was all logic. And I would have guys that would only write emotion. And both of them will lose, okay? But typically, the emotion one had a little bit of an edge over the logic guy, okay, typically, because they had a bigger reason to fight and they wouldn't quit. But you give me the guys that can do logic and emotion, the right has all the logic on their side. They have the stats on their side right now. You just have to tell stories of what's going on. New York. Let me read you the story with New York. Here's New York for you. Ready? Mm-hmm. Rob, what page is the New York one you just text me?
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.